Center for Democracy and Development, the civil society organization partnering with Arise News. Over the last 8 months, we've been doing extensive research with bandit terrorists in the Northwest. We've been able to trace a lot of their leaders and talk to them. And we've asked them, why are you killing Nigerians, kidnapping Nigerians, engaged in rape and such evil acts? And their response is very interesting. They say we live in a society where you have people in power who use security forces of the nation for their own personal interests, steal and loot the treasury and are protected because they have power. And therefore, the sets of activities we are engaged in, they tell us, is very similar. The four of you are all people who have spent decades in power in this country. If you meet one of these bandit leaders and he challenges you by telling you there is no difference between us and you, what would you respond?
Candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi.
Thank you. Like you, I've been able to go around or also met some of those criminals as well. And based on that, I've always said consistently that the more you pull people out of poverty, the more you reduce the criminality that is in the country. And I've always argued that they are doing what they are doing because they could see the poverty in the country. In a country where those people are in government, are richer than entrepreneurs, you manufacture poverty. But if they stop me and ask me, like you said, what will I tell them? I'll tell them, well, as a governor, I served a state for 8 years. And you can go to that state and see not one day did I ever borrow from any financial institution in Nigeria. And that I was not in any position or have never been invited by anybody to question about their missing money. The day I left office, I wasn't owing any contractor that have delivered this project. I wasn't owing any supplier that have delivered. I was not owing pension, gratuity, salary, or anybody. And I can say that in 3 banks in Nigeria, Access Bank, Fidelity Bank, and Diamond Bank, I left in each $50 million, over 10 billion naira for the state. So if they meet me, I'll be able to account for myself and say, I've never borrowed, I've served faithfully, and I left their money. So I'm like them. I'm as angry as they are. Now we must be able to chase out those who, where they've passed, nobody can account of what they were given. That is what we want to do. Thank you.
Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, standing in for PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar.
Thank you so much. I'm sure that from 1999 to 2007, we knew where the President Obasanjo Atiku Abubakar presidency, where they met Nigeria and where they left it. Much better than where they met it. Because after the military regime, we knew exactly how they were able to re-engineer the economy and also ensure that we even were able to pay back a lot of our debt, and we had debt forgiveness. And a lot of the things that we enjoy today, and even the institutions that ensure accountancy, were actually created in their own time. So that is very important. Secondly, it's important to address the issue of poverty. Yes, the issue of unemployment. It's important to educate our people. It's important that we start to manage our populations. This is very important, and these are things that we need to drive down. But if I were to have the opportunity of sitting down with them, is to let them know that there is hope for Nigeria going into the future. In my state, Delta State used to be very troubled, especially in the oil-producing areas. It was always a place of constant agitation, but we took development to them. We recreated the economy. We grew. We have continued to grow entrepreneurs. If you go into the riverine areas of Delta State today, you see a lot of development. They now have livable towns, and the people are convinced, and they can see hope, and they are partnering with government. And it's important to ensure that we drive governance in this state. I don't want to know whether, I don't want to believe that in the midst of scarcity and infrastructure deficit, that what we need to do is to continue to leave money in governance. I don't think that's the pathway to go, because it's only man when people don't have roads to ply on, when the educational system is still in shambles, when the health sector is in trouble, and you say you have excessive money in this country at this time to continue to save it when the money is depreciating by the day. That's not the right path to go. The right path is to ensure that you use the money for the development of the people, to create entrepreneurs, to create jobs for the people, to create the enabling environment for industries to grow. This is the right thing to do. So we must be cautious, the kind of language you pass on to Nigerians. When you're talking about developed clients, it's different, because they've gone through all this, so they are going through, they have monies that they can save. But at the moment, in a depreciating situation, you can't continue to save when that money is needed to grow the economy and to make the people have livable conditions. So it's important that we are careful about the narratives that we pass on to Nigerians.
My name is Data Makri. I am interested in the security. For those that are interested in becoming president, and for even the APC party in power, other countries use aerostats to identify where our enemies are. Do any of you have any plans on how you're going to go about with the insurgency? The question is open to any of you, as opposed to talking about security problems. I really want to know, how will you go about if you're in the situation that we are in now under APC? I've given an example of aerostats. America uses it, England uses it. It identifies where the criminal is right now. I don't want to go on too long because other people have questions. Thank you.
Would you like to make a contribution?
Well, as governor, everybody knew what we did in community leadership. We were able to, using what we can call modern communication, using telephone and everything, to provide for every community a vigilante system that was working, provided them with vehicles, communication equipment, linking them to work with police. And you can go and see it. We are the only government that had every community was provided with pickup, manpower that were paid directly by government. Thank you.
Former Governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, and the question is straightforward. With the uncoordinated security network among the security agencies today, and the lack of proper coordination between the office of the president and the vice president, do you, as presidential candidate of Labour Party, believe that the office of the president and vice president is one and same or not? Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you,
Peter Obi, candidate of the Labour Party.
The office of the president and the office of the vice president is not the same. There's a commander-in-chief. The button stops at somebody's desk. He can, of course, delegate that power. That is why when the president travels, we talk about transition. The vice president cannot is not commander-in-chief. In terms of coordination, they should work as a family. They should work together. But as president and commander-in-chief, the decision and the box stops on my desk. I will be responsible to Nigerians. Thank you, my Vice President.
Quiet in the hall, please.
Thank you, my Vice President will be working very closely with me. That even the Constitution have areas where he delegated the Vice President to head. It didn't say he's Commander-in-Chief. So I'll be in charge. And I will not...
Please, no noise from the hall.
But that notwithstanding, everybody in government, like the Governor Okowa has said, has to work as a family. A family doesn't mean that you don't have a head. A family, the father is the head, but it's still a family. And they live together. So we will be a family, but I will be in charge.
The Nigerian Guild of Editors, who are our partners in presenting this program. And the questions are as follows. I'm going to take all three. One, Kwankwanso, are you taking votes away from the All Progressives Congress so that we can have a political deadlock situation? Is that your plan? Two, Peter Obi, are you also trying to take votes away from the People's Democratic Party in order to create a deadlock in the 2023 presidential election? And in both cases, and this is directed to all the four persons who have been addressing us since we started this program, in both cases, what will each party do? Mr. Peter Obi, candidate of the Labour Party.
Well, we're not trying to take away votes from any party. Labour Party is in this election to win and serve Nigeria. Our voters were taking votes away from the traditional parties who have structures, which is structure of incompetence, structure of bad leadership, structure of criminality, looting of Nigeria, and bringing us to a level where we become a failed state. So we are saying to Nigerians, especially the younger ones, come, let's take back Nigeria and take it with people you can trust. Election, what we are selling is trust. Of all these candidates, who will you trust that can manage this country and your resources well?
I've listened to your responses on security, and some of you have emphasized the inadequate numbers in terms of our security forces, and you are proposing to raise the numbers, double, triple, quadruple. Is that good enough?
Mr. Peter Obi, candidate of the Labour Party.
Mr. Jibril, what is weird is that you have 6 million people with guns outside, and you have less than that. That supports the need, one, for a complete review of your security architecture, starting with increasing the personnel. Police, to the best of my knowledge, is 320,000. For a country of 200 million, it's unacceptable. If you compare with Egypt, that's 100, they are 1 million. So let's increase that to at least 1 million. And then I support the issue of local government, state, 3-level policing. Thereafter, the most important thing to stop and reduce that criminality is to start pulling those people out of poverty. The more you pull people out of poverty, the more you reduce criminality. There's a lot you can have today all over Nigeria. You have 35% unemployment. With your youth, who are in their productive age, we have 60% youth unemployment. Youth unemployment. You can't have that and you have crisis. That's where the guns are domiciled. So you replace that with jobs. Replace it with employment. Replace it with entrepreneurship. You invest in your micro, small businesses where these youths are domiciled by supporting them, pulling them out of poverty. I've advocated that the goal of Nigeria in terms of physical access is the uncultivated land in the north. We can't have that huge land, and we have the level of poverty that we experience in the north. And I've given examples with so many countries of the world where things have worked differently. Niger State have 8 local governments, or about 7 or 8 local governments that is occupied by bandits. And they are living on 76.3 thousand square kilometers of land. It's unacceptable. Arable land that is fertile. When Netherlands, if you minus water, it's 33,000. And if you go there, their last year export of food was over 100 billion euros, which as at that time was about $120 billion. If Niger State can do just 2% of that, for the land space they have, 2.5 times their land, they'll earn about $2.4 billion. Even at 650, let's leave 800 today, it's about 1.5 trillion. Imagine what Niger State will be. Those kids, those local governments will not be taken over by bandits. Fact checkers, I hope you are checking.
Quiet in the hall.